What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to talk about the economic calendar as we have another Fed speaker coming up very soon, what's happening with earnings coming out, and also some news involving Tesla. But before I break into all this information, before I give you guys a nice intraday update for the markets, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Moomoo, the link down below, and deposit $100 into the account, you are guaranteed up to 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed up to 15 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon. Anyways, looking at Tesla, we're actually seeing this thing making an attempt to bounce because SPY is starting to rip. We're seeing SPY attempting to break out as well, and this is helping the whole market push. Now, Tesla came down quite a bit, retesting this yellow trend line, and we got a little bounce off of this. We were consolidating for many, many hours, and now we're finally starting to push a little higher. So I'm going to break down more details about this in just a few minutes. Let's first talk about the market and also the news coming out. SPY is at a very, very critical level. It just broke its all-time high. It's trying to hold above 498. So we're going to be watching to see if this could hold. If we continue to hold this and start pushing, bigger moves are going to be coming. I'll be breaking down some levels in just a few minutes. Now, when it comes to the economic calendar, we have Bowman from the Fed giving a speech at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. He's going to be the last Fed speaker of the day. That's pretty much it for all of the major data that's been coming out. So Bowman will be giving the speech. Don't forget that Bowman right here is one of the most hawkish Fed speakers. So this is the hawk slash dove analysis chart. And you can see right here, he tends to be a little bit more hawkish. So just be a little bit careful when he speaks. We'll see what he says. Hopefully, it doesn't cause anything too big for the markets, but just have this in the back of your mind. For earnings, we also have PayPal and Disney. PayPal could shake the markets, especially tech. So we'll see if PayPal causes the market to pump or not. We'll see how they do for earnings. This could be very, very impactful, at least for the tech side. So we'll just see how that goes. But get ready if you want to play this. Make sure you're very careful. I would recommend not going all in. Not financial advice, but just don't go all in. Uh, if anything, I'm saying that I wouldn't go all in. If anything, I would just like play this in a very, very minor, very concise manner. Just take a small position. That's pretty much it while managing risks. Now for Tesla, all the news is saying is Tesla's preparing for a round of layoffs. This is technically, in a way, good news for the company because it's going to help them reduce expenditures. But at the same time, as soon as this news came out, Tesla dumped temporarily. It's getting bought back up thanks to SPY and the other tickers. And we're seeing buyers defending it with lots of options buying. So that's like pretty interesting, at least for the time being. We'll see how this goes for Tesla. Right now, the managers are just making binary assessments of their deputies' roles in recent days, trying to figure out the levels of significance of certain roles and figuring out who they may have to lay off. So that's some big news for Tesla. Now let's talk about the charts. How are things looking? SPY is still holding up above 498. It's trying to fight right now. We'll see if this holds or not. I'm going to break down some very important levels right now. So for Tesla, to start off, Tesla's been following SPY very clearly. We actually came down a little bit harder than SPY, but now we're trying to push back up with it. And when you zoom out, you will notice that Tesla, had all these rejections off this yellow trend line. Then we bounced, broke out of it, retested it, then we bounced again. So what is Tesla doing? So right now, watch critical support between 187.5 to 188. As long as we hold above this, we're going to be in a very good place, especially for close. If we lose 187.5, watch 186, 184 below that, then 182.5. And if we lose that, we're going to turn bearish. So we'll see if that holds. For resistance, make sure you watch 190.5 as critical resistance. That's the most important resistance right now. We'll see if Tesla can try to break above the 190 area. And if we manage to do so, if we break above that 190 area, we're going to be looking for a bigger push to 191. That's very close to where Tesla rejected today. It's actually just a little bit under that. And if we break that, we can start pushing into this mid 190 area up here where these wicks are to much higher levels. We could even get very close to about 194. So what do I think Tesla's going to do? What is my prediction? So I think that Tesla's trying to rebound. We're seeing buyers defend it. I think it's going to follow the way SPY moves and the way the market's moving. The market is still kind of trading sideways right now, trying to hold up. We're still favoring the bulls, though, overall on SPY. So this tells me that Tesla might hold up a little bit and quite nicely above 187.5. So hoping it tries to hold up for now, but never forget that the news is a very big factor that affects Tesla, and that's going to affect how Tesla moves as well, especially for tomorrow. That's a big factor. Looking at Tesla, we're going to be watching to see if this thing ends up just consolidating in this range. We might attempt to get very close to 190 later. And we could even push a little bit more on Tesla, try to bounce and push higher if SPY starts to break out even more. So we'll be watching for this very carefully. On the chart, we have a nice inverse head and shoulders like structure that is developing right about here. This could be a little slanted, so we could see Tesla start to slowly kind of like shop into an uptrend towards these higher levels into the mid 190s. It's still a real possibility. We have to see it at least hold above 187.5. So Tesla's favoring the bulls. It may attempt to hold very, very nicely. We could even see some moments where it tries to break above 190, but for now it might just remain in this range. But it's going to still favor the bulls nonetheless. So we got a nice bounce attempt. It could attempt to hold up nicely. We'll see how SPY dictates this for the time being as well. For SPY, we have tight resistance at 498. It's very tough resistance, very, very tough. If we break this, there's minor resistance, and the resistance levels become very tight because SPY is breaking all-time highs. 498.5, around that range, we have some resistance. Then there's 499 above that. So if we get above 499, 500 is going to be our next target. 500 is tougher resistance than 499, in my opinion. And I think we could get very close to that soon, but it may take some time to get there, maybe another day or so. For support, if we break down, make sure you watch where the wick is, all the way down here towards, well, we have a critical support around 496.8. That's where the 50 EMA happens to be. And if we lose that, there's 496 and 494 coming. Right now, SPY is just trying to fight for 498. It's just like hitting it, rejecting, hitting it, rejecting. It's a very, very tough resistance. You guys can see it right here. Very, very tough level. We'll see if SPY could break that later on during the day. But so far, it's holding up nicely, and the trend is still heavily favoring the bulls, especially when you look at the 4-hour time frame. So we'll see if SPY can break this resistance. There's a good chance it's going to attempt to do so again. It's still fighting 498 and kind of like consolidating. So we'll see if we can break that. And for now, we still favor the bulls. For the QQQ, got a nice push as well. The level we called out was 432 if 430 breaks. If we break 432, watch 430. Basically, this high right here at 432.8, then 434 above that, followed by 435. For support, if we get a rejection, make sure you watch this yellow trend line at 430. If we lose that, there's 429 and 427 coming. So with that being said, we got a nice double bottom like formation. This is looking not bad. And I would say that the QQQ is looking kind of bullish since we got this like inverse head and shoulders like structure. It's still favoring the bulls a bit more, but the only issue is we have some very tough resistance at 432. It's very tough to break this. Typically, when you have these formations, we break it eventually. We start pushing to higher levels, but for now, it's kind of like shuffling in this range, so we'll just have to see how it goes. For support, make sure you watch this yellow trend line. As long as we close above this, we're going to be in a very good place. So I'll see how it goes. Right now, the trend is looking bullish. It's still favoring the bulls. Let's see if it could break 432 and then eventually push up to 432.8 and eventually above 433 to get to 434. For Nvda, we're looking pretty good on Nvidia. I do want to note that Nvidia has a potential wedge that's forming, which could turn later on. But for now, it's not really showing signs of a break to the downside. We're still on a very, very nice uptrend. We're still holding above 692 quite nicely. We're watching 695 as resistance. So typically what happens to stocks is when we approach a tough level, especially an all-time high, the higher we go, the tougher resistance gets. And that's what's kind of happening to Nvidia, right? We had this resistance at 692. It took a few hours. We broke that. Now we're at 695. It may take a few hours. If we do break it, then 700 is coming. If we break back down, watch 692, 687. And then if we lose that, 680 is going to be our next target. Nvidia is kind of tight right now. It's on a nice uptrend. It's kind of shuffling in this range. It may continue to do so. But I think there's potential for it to break a little bit higher later on. The trend is still looking quite strong. Nvidia does not look like it's done quite yet. So Nvidia is holding up nicely. Apple is also in a very similar place because when you look at Apple, Apple is kind of flat right now. It's just trading sideways in the 189s. But basically, we have a nice inverse head and shoulders like structure. So we have this left shoulder here, the head and the right shoulder forming. It's on an uptrend. It's still uptrending, but resistance is getting tougher around that 190 area. So it's not like breaking out like it was during this phase right here. So the growth is kind of slowing down a little bit. Could even be forming a flag. Going to be watching a consolidated 189. It's very simple. We have very strong supports below that at 188. That's level to be watching for if we do break down and lose 189. For resistance, watch 189.3, followed by 190.5. What are we doing? We're just kind of in a little tiny range right now, going back and forth, shuffling around the 189s. I think there's a good chance that Apple's going to continue to do so, but then we'll see how it goes after that. The trend on Apple, it's still bullish overall until we switch directions. It's still a bullish trend. I will change my view if we start to see a change in market structure. So basically, Apple is continuing to do this, right? We have this high that's been broken, this high, and then we're just continuing to uptrend like this. It's still doing this basically, right? It's still doing this, but excuse me, it could shift. If we're going to shift, you have to see it essentially start to do this, right? Change its direction. Hasn't done that yet. There's no confirmation yet. It's still technically on an uptrend. So we're going to be waiting to see if it shifts or not. But for now, like I said earlier, we're still on an uptrend. We're still favoring the uptrend for now. So we're going to be watching to see if Apple could bounce and continue from here. It's still holding nicely, so we'll just see how it goes. Anyways, that's it for this one. I hope you guys are all doing very, very well today when it comes to trading and watching the markets. Tesla is still holding up nicely. We're actually seeing the QQQ fighting resistance, and SPY is still fighting resistance up here as well. So we'll just have to see if we can get a breakout or not, and we'll see how SPY does. For Tesla, I just want to call out, I want to see how it closes as well. I hope Tesla closes above 187.5 to 188. It's going to be in a very good place if it does. If it doesn't, it is what it is. It could still rebound, but I just want to mention that that would be a very nice close and put us in a very good position for tomorrow. So Tesla looking bullish, holding up nicely. Let's see how it does. Make sure you watch supply and demand. And with that being said, just as a final reminder, Bowman is giving a speech very soon. He could affect the markets and cause some volatility. So be prepared for that. He tends to be more hawkish historically, so be careful. But at the same time, even if he causes any drops, the market could still get bought back up. And then finally, big earnings. We have PayPal and Disney, the biggest earnings for the week. Get ready for them. Do what you have to do, guys, if you want to play them or not. And if you want to hold overnight through this, you could as well. It's up to you. If you don't want to risk it, it's your choice, but it's all up to you guys. All right. Anyways, take care, guys. Tesla in the markets to the moon as the long term is very bright, and peace out.